All right. Hey there. Good morning. It's a Monday morning for me. Hope you had a good weekend. Mine was okay. We had a birthday in my family this weekend. Not mine, one of my family members. And so we had a bunch of family stuff planned, and that was fun and relaxing and good. What that means is that I didn't really do much work at all on this zero gravity judge, which is what we're currently working on during the weekend. So what we're left with is basically where we ended up on Friday after Friday's stream, and I'll show that to you here. So we have the backpack unit built, and if we built that on Friday's stream, so if you missed that and you're interested in how it went together and the mistakes that were made along the way, and most of which we recovered from nicely, so you can go check that out on the last stream. I'm happy overall with how it came out. It's looking quite good. The one thing that I've done since the stream, and I actually did this morning, I got a little bit of a head start on work this morning on this before we started streaming, and that is we had talked about in the stream on Friday the idea of doing a little bit of detail painting with this fluorescent green enamel, just to pick out these little areas right here and up there that look like they're sort of landing lights or something like that on this spaceship looking machine. And so I did go ahead and put the first coat. It looks like it's probably close to dry-ish now. So I put the first coat of this on there just a little while ago, and it's going to probably take 2 or 3 coats. It goes on, this paint is super thin, so it's going on in quite thin layers, which is fine with me. There's also 2 of these on the backside as well. So yeah, as those dry, I will put a couple more coats, and I think that is looking good. So for those of you who chimed in saying that was a good idea to go with that color in Friday's stream, thank you. That was a good suggestion, I think, and so I'm happy with that. For today's stream at least, probably a little bit shorter than usual because today's a holiday where I live, and so my family is off from work and school, and we have some plans for later on in the day, so I need to be done with this because of that. But also there's not a whole lot to do, given that I didn't work on any additional pieces over the weekend as far as priming or painting or priming or even prepping them for paint and primer. So the mobile suit itself, all of those plastic parts are still in need of some work, some sanding work and stuff to get them ready for painting. And so we don't have any of those ready to go. What we do have are the parts for the weapons. And so I'm gonna start today, I think, as we set this aside to let this paint continue to dry just a little bit. And we'll probably come back to that in a little while, but I'm gonna go ahead and build weapons, which I don't expect will take very long because they're fairly simple. Which is probably nice, given that the backpack was so complex with this kit. Having simple weapons is not bad. So let's grab... Of course, I just placed this backpack on top of the box of parts that we need for the weapons. So let me find... Actually, we'll just leave this sitting here. I'll grab the parts we need, put them over here on the table, and then I can move this back out of the way. As far as I know, it should just be all the rest of the parts that are already painted here in the box that we need. Right, so that's it. we now have an empty parts box. Of course, that's one of two, right? The other one that is of that same size is completely full of pieces for the mobile suit itself. So that will be a project for future streams to tackle. These handles are metal die-cast bits, similar to the inner frame. And I think, if I remember correctly, somebody told me that the first version of this Judge kit came with one of these handles. It had parts to make two weapons, just like this, but only one of them had the metallic piece for the handle, and the other one you had to use a plastic handle. So with this second printing, they've added a second metal handle, which I guess is nice. I'm just sorting out the pieces here so that we can find them all as we build. I don't think it's going to be a big issue. It's a fairly simple looking process, I think, to build these two weapons. Alright, so all it is the direction of this probably matters, so we want this facing up as we put this back end of the handle together. Now's a good test to see if the color I chose for these metallic, this is the light bronze, the SMS light bronze was what I chose for the majority of the metallic parts that are meant to go next to the actual metal inner frame. So now I can see like this next to this, and the tone is pretty close. So yeah, it's probably hard to see under the lighting here at my desk, but this is maybe a little bit more bronze-ish looking, so a little more brown tone to it than the actual metal, but it's very close, and it's probably, of the four metallics that I had to choose from, it's definitely the closest. So that's good, I'm happy with that. Rather than building these one and then the other, I'm just going to build them both in parallel here. This dark bronze on this blade piece came out so good. Part of it is just the plastic is so nice and smooth, and the end here is so pointy. I actually hurt myself on that point a few times while handling it, while painting and such, because I wasn't being careful and didn't remember that it was very sharp. The nice thing about having the weekend off from building was that my fingers recovered. I don't know if you remember or not, but at the end of the stream when we built the backpack unit on Friday, because as I was pressing pieces together on that backpack unit, there are so many sharp edges on some of these parts, and that was really the only place to press down on when you were trying to push pieces in place. I ended up actually hurting especially both thumbs were quite sore because of all of the pressing down on sharp edges that had happened during that 2.5 or so hour build session. So today my fingers feel much nicer, better than they did on that end of the stream Friday for sure. All right, so now these go onto here somehow. And how is by using a couple of these parts here to attach them in place. So this grabs on like that, right? That doesn't seem like it wants to fit. It's just the tightness of the fit because of the paint that we added. But if I'm careful here, I should be able to press this in. Yeah, that's gonna work okay. Without any need to adjust and shave down any of the painted surfaces. Yeah, so this right here, see if I can catch it in the light so you can see, is not wanting to stay together. And it's not really, this is something I noticed when we were first snap building the kit as well. I don't think that it's due to the paint that we added. It was actually a problem before that. So I will have to work on this, and I might end up just gluing it, just with a dab of glue to hold that together, because it's wanting to separate just a little bit. Even though the peg is all the way inside of this handle, I can tell that it's pressed in as far as it'll go. The plastic's just wanting to separate just a touch right there. So that's fine. I'll leave it like that for now and fix it later. Let's see, you go here, is that right? Yeah. And then we'll put this in. One thing I'm noticing, just as a note for myself or for maybe improving the video for future streams, this dark matte that I use here on the desk as a backdrop for the top-down camera normally looks great because normally we're building with lighter colored plastics, grays and whites and such. However, with these weapon parts, which are mostly dark metallics, they don't really show up that great against that backdrop. So let me know what you think if you're watching this either right now or later in the comments, about how these look against that dark background. I may need to swap this matte out when I know that I'm going to be building something that's got darker parts. Maybe swap it out with something lighter, or just remove it entirely and go with there's a wooden desk underneath here, so that might work as well as a better backdrop for this kind of setup. Alright, what is next? Oh, weirdly, I wasn't expecting to put these on until like almost the very end, but it wants them right now. So we will do that. Ooh, I thought there was a problem in the paint there. I saw a couple little dark flakes in the pearl white coating. Fortunately, it was just dust. So that's good. All right, I realized as I was pushing that together, there's actually a extra set of pegs up here at the front that I had not pressed all the way in on that one. So we'll fix that. I was wondering why when I snap built these parts kept falling off, I remember, and I think it's because I didn't have those pressed all the way in. All right, and then we do this blade part. Right, so actually that is, I believe, complete structure, because the rest of everything else that we're going to build just actually snaps into those, I remember, and it's removable because these become optional handheld weapons that the mobile suit can also use if it so chooses. Let's see, just in case the direction here matters, we're going to make sure we orient this according to how the instructions show it before putting this side on here. And then this small piece goes on the opposite side. Now, I remember these being a very tight fit. They have just a little sort of rectangular peg that's going to be impossible to show. Well, there it kind of is, that fit into these little grooves here. And the peg itself is on a very narrow bit of plastic, and so if you do not press it evenly as you press it down, you're in danger of bending or breaking this very narrow plastic strip that it's connected to. So just something to be careful of if you're building this kit, something I noticed when we were doing the snap build. And those are the kinds of things I always try to remember, because I want to make sure that I don't make a mistake now that we have the parts all painted and good. Like, I remember I stressed the plastic a little bit on some of these parts as we were doing the snap build, and that was fine because then I was able to paint over those stress marks and fix them up. But now I want to make sure I don't make that same mistake again, because we have the painted parts and I want them to remain looking as nice as possible. This Post-it note pad is coming in quite handy. It was just sitting here on Friday and I left it here because it was so useful in pressing down parts in an even way and without damaging the paint surface. So, accidental building tip here that I came up with in the last stream. Use a pad of Post-it notes, or I guess really anything soft but also firm enough to press on a piece, right? To push these things down. Alright, that is mostly correct, but this one is still wanting to bow up just a tiny bit. Maybe I should, on the other one, before I place these parts in there, maybe I should shave off the paint around those rectangular pegs just a tiny bit, just to loosen the fit. But that got it in place, so that's good. And then we put these on. Probably should have done the other side first. That would make more sense based on how they fit together. Yep, would have made a lot more sense. But hey, I started it this way, so I'm going to continue like a stubborn person. Nice tight fit on these. They're not coming off ever again. Alright, once again, I'm going to make sure I orient that in the correct direction. And I am going to learn my lesson from last time and just take just the tiniest bit of the paint off of both of these. That will help the fit to be a little bit easier. Yeah, in fact, I can already tell that the fit is easier. This one shouldn't need it. It only has one of those pegs, and it's right here in the center, so it's easy to push it in place without feeling like you're going to break the part. Yeah, that was much easier the second time. Okay, you go here. Alright, and then the fun part that maybe we've all been waiting. You didn't know that this was coming. I knew this was coming. This is the part I've been waiting for. It's putting the blade sections on the ends of these parts. And this is going to be interesting because pressing these in place again, they have a very sharp edge that I've actually probably made sharper by sanding. I tried to sharpen this edge as I was doing the sanding work. So fortunately, there's kind of a flat angle here that you can press on without having to push directly on the sharp edge. So yeah, there are those. That probably looks a lot nicer in person than probably looks a lot nicer in person than it does there on video. Just because it's such a dark metallic, I'm not sure that it shines quite as much on video as it does when I'm looking at it here. But yeah, I'm happy with how those blades turned out for sure. It's very nice. All the different tones of metallics and the gold inset bits there. That looks nice. All right, so these actually attach on here like this. They just press into place. Like so. That's nice and sturdy. So in the snap build, this was a little loose, but obviously adding the layers of paint that we added has helped that tremendously. And then all that's left, I think, is this very simple bit here. Yeah, that seems good, but we have to do this first. This goes on here, and then these kind of just snap on the sides, and they go with this kind of narrower end toward the back here. So these can also be, according to the instructions, like removed and just become handheld weapons for the mobile suit. These individual little sword kind of weapons here. But then they also go onto the large, I don't even know what I'm going to call those. Are they halberds? Are they, yeah. I don't know what type of weapon they're modeled after. But yeah, so it can hold this in its hand right here. Or you can snap this in place up here, which is slightly loose, but not bad. Yeah, it wants to wobble this way just a little bit. Actually, this one wobbles that way just a little bit as well. But there are those weapons. Somewhere I have the effect parts. They're not painted yet. They're over there. I'll grab them. Right, so the plan with these is going to be to spray them with that bluish purplish pearl, clear pearl finish that we used for some of these parts. Let's see if I can pick one out. Yeah, so like right here, this little kind of light area that's on the front of there, if I zoom in and I tilt this just right in the light, you can see it's this same transparent green that these effect parts are, but when the light catches it, it has kind of a purplish or bluish shine to it. So I'm gonna hit these with that same paint as kind of a top coat, just to add a bit of a better tint to them, make them a little bit different from how they came. And I might do it as a gradient, right, where the outer edge has more of the purple and this inner section here stays more green. We'll see. But these, I'm not gonna actually place them on here right now because I'm not sure what I want to do in the long term, but they kind of just fit right on here like this and become a nice, large, very large effect part. And then this one, if I can keep it in frame on the camera, fits there. So if you put them both on, you get this crazy, very large weapon with effects. Yeah, so I haven't decided yet how I'm going to display the final build once I'm finished with it. And he might actually not end up using these weapons at all. I've actually ordered a third-party weapon add-on kit that I may decide to pair with this instead. I'm not going to talk any more about that right now. I'll just give you that little sneak preview because it hasn't arrived yet, and so I haven't had a chance to look at it and decide if that's what I want to do. But yeah, so these are the weapons, but again, he might not end up actually using them. We'll see. Also, I think we mentioned it when we were doing the snap build. One of these two metal parts for the handle of the weapon came to me slightly bent, like it was bowed a little bit this way, but I was able to just carefully straighten that out. I think I ended up putting it under some heavy books. I straightened it by hand and then I set it under some heavy books for a few days. And so both of them are pretty much perfectly straight. I think it might have been this one because I still see a tiny bend in it, like way down here at the bottom, if I'm looking very carefully. But I think that was just how it was packaged in the box. It must have been leaning up against something else, and it got slightly bent. Not a huge deal. All right, cool. So next, what are we gonna do next? How much time do we have? We haven't spent a lot of time yet. I'm gonna set these weapons off to the side, somewhere where they're not gonna get chipped and also where they're not going to damage any people or things because they do have sharp points. We'll just put them over there for now. We'll grab this. So here's what I want to do with this. I was looking around before the stream, right? I need my keyboard for a second here to shift some things around so you can see what I was looking at. I found online this, which is a decal guide that someone provided, because the instructions for this kit did not come with a guide for the water slides. So all you'd have to do, I guess, was look at the pictures on the box to figure out where all of these go. So what I want to do, at least for this backpack, is to put a couple of these water slides at least on it today. Now the problem we have, and this is always going to be a problem if you recolor a kit, is that like I think these markings will look okay. They're kind of a purplish blue, and they'll look good on the white parts for sure. The problem with the backpack unit specifically is that it was mostly dark blue and we recolored it to white. And so most of the decals that are designed to go on this backpack unit are these over here and down here at the bottom, which it's hard for me to show in the light, but they're white decals. And that was because they were supposed to go on dark blue parts. However, now that we've recolored it, they're not going to work in the places they're designed to go. Since they're going to be on top of pearl white parts, and that's not going to show up. Most of these other darker bluish purple ones here are meant to go on the mobile suit itself. Here, I'll shift back here and you can see the shoulders, the arms and legs have a little bit, I guess not much on the arms, but definitely the shoulders and those front skirts have a lot of these little striped kind of markings, which look really good, right? But they're Yeah, I want to use them as many places as possible, but these white ones are going to be a problem. So what I'm going to do is I need water to dip these things into. I guess first I need to find the little container that I normally put the water in, which I thought was right here, but it is not. So I'm going to take a break real fast because the water's inside the house anyway. Out here in my studio, I have no way to get water very quickly. So I'm going to go grab myself a container of water, slightly warm water that we will use for placing at least a few of these decals. I think some of the white ones can go on these blue areas, and then some of the other ones I'm just going to invent new spots for them to go based on how they fit and how they're going to look once I get whichever ones definitely are in the right spots and will work with the color scheme. I'll put those on first. Then we'll take a look and decide what to do with any extras. So anyway, with all that said, I'll be right back with some water and we'll get started on some decals on this backpack unit. All right, I am back. We have here water in the little container, which I managed to find, that I normally use for this purpose. Also have a paper towel. I'll get out all the standard supplies I use for applying water slides. So that brush is just an old paintbrush that I use in case we need water. These tweezers are very helpful for just hanging on to one of these things. Also gonna need my cutting mat so that I can cut those things out. Need a knife. I picked this up a while ago from Amazon. It's super handy because it comes with a ton of different blades, and yeah, a ton of different blades, and it also comes with a stone for sharpening them as well, so that you can use them for a long time. Alright, and given that, I think we are good. So I'm going to be referring to this, which is up on my other screen here, and like I said, trying at first to put these where they were designed to go, when it makes sense to do so, and then when it doesn't, we'll invent a backup plan. Yeah. So, and the other thing I want to do, I think, is let's take this thing apart. I'm being careful not to grab any of the places that had the fluorescent green paint painted on them. Is this gonna come out very easily? It is a very tight fit. Yeah, it's gonna come out. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna take these side wing parts off just to make it easier to work with this thing in 3 large sections instead of 1 extremely large section. Typically, I don't think I've ever done or talked about water slides on stream before. Typically, I am careful to assemble the kit entirely or nearly entirely before I do water slides. Like, I know some people put those on individual parts before assembly. For me, I like to see the whole kit in its final assembled state as I'm placing them, because I feel like I can just make the water, the markings a little bit more even, lined up correctly, and so on, if I'm looking at the fully assembled kit. So yeah, those attach points are very tight, which is good, right? Because once we have a final pose, we don't want it moving around too much. However, before I put those back in there, I might actually shave a little bit of the paint off of those pegs to make them work out a little better. So I'm not sure if there's anything here that we want to actually use the markings, because these are all white markings that the instructions or the guide there is calling for. That one's very cool looking. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use that somewhere for sure, but not here. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, most of these that are meant to go, the striping that's meant to go on this middle section is gonna be white on white, and so we don't want that. However, on the back side of this, on these engine bits, what color are those? Those are also white? Yeah, they are. So those aren't going to work either because they're on the silver parts. Right. I've really messed up the decal plan by changing the paint scheme. However, it'll be fine. We'll come up with a plan that works and that looks good. So on these parts, I can definitely place whatever was designed to go on to this blue wing here, which I think is this very long marking right here. Yes. Interesting. They have it out there, which would put it over the top of that in a strange way. I'm going to reverse these. I'm going to place them there and have them coming out this way. So already deviating from the plan, which is fine. I mean, if you're building a thing, right, you have, it's entirely your right to make it however you want. So we will, I'm actually gonna grab both of these, but I'm gonna put them on opposite sides from where the guide is calling for them to go. So this is why these tweezers, you pinch them together to like open them, and then when you let them go, they just grab something. So I find them extremely useful for holding on to these, and that way I can dip them in the water just for a few seconds. And then we'll let this sit over here so that those can loosen off of the backing. And we wait for that. I have some Mr. Mark setter that I usually use to make sure that we get good smooth adhesion of our decals. So what I'm going to do with these is actually have them go this way, down this side here by this wing piece, and then cut across like that. Which is opposite, like I said, of how the guide is wanting them to be. But I think that'll fit better and look better with the setup we have here. Get this wet just in case we need it. And grab a toothpick. I'm almost out of toothpicks. I think I have a refill somewhere. I need to refill this little toothpick holder that I use. It's almost gone. Well, I don't know. There's like 20 or so left in there. So I often use a toothpick to help slide the water slide into place. Sometimes I end up using the brush instead, but this should be fine. And what I want, or what I imagined in my mind, was for that, yeah, to fit like right in there, and then to end kind of right down here. And just straighten it out just a touch. Make sure I like that okay. I do. Just make sure the placement is perfect. And then the other thing I forgot to get. One of these. We'll just gently roll the water out. That'll be interesting right here along here, this edge where this wing part is in the way. It's kind of making it so that we can't roll that just like I want to. So these parts down here, while I'm remembering, I had said in the last stream I was going to pull those off and mask them and paint the inside of those with some of the metallics the guy used for the inner frame. I haven't done that yet. I still plan to. And everything we've done so far is not going to preclude me from being able to do that. Those parts come off quite easily and then snap right back on, so that is something I will do sometime later this week, almost certainly, but probably not on stream. Alright, so the weird thing about this is that it only came with 2 of these, right? So like part of me wants to then put the matching one on the opposite side here. However, we have to put it on the other wing. It should have come with 4. That's all I'm saying. But it's fine. We will work with what we have. Right, so now as I'm placing this one, I have the other one sitting right over here to my right, and well, yeah, you can see it on camera too. So I'm double checking like the exact placement of where this bit ends and how far this white stripe is away from the edge and all of those little details to try to make sure that it matches up as closely as possible. And in the process of trying to smooth that down, I moved it just a touch. So I'm going to fix it. And do it again. That's better. Yes. That's much better. All right, so those are good. And now I get to look at this screen again, this one, and probably determine that there are no more decals designed for spaces on the backpack that will fit. Like, does my mouse cursor show up? Hey, look at that, it does, sort of. So like this one over here on the far left is white on the decal sheet, I think. Let me double check. I was looking at this earlier. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it definitely is. And that's an area that we painted white. Same with these up here. Those are definitely areas that we've painted white. We already checked those are on a silver place, and they're white decals. These are the ones we just placed, although we did it opposite. We made them go this way instead. And then all of these are white decals that go onto, or that are now in places where we've painted white, except for this one right here, which is a blue decal, and we've painted that trim piece there blue. So we've basically reversed the color scheme compared to what they had planned. So given all of that, I am going to redesign or sort of redistribute these white ones onto some of the blue that we have. However, there's a lot of white decals and there's not very much blue on this piece anymore. And so I don't want to overdo it. And I do, however, see some good opportunity here. Unfortunately, they should have given me more of these. So that's going to be the other problem, is I'm going to have to figure out how to use these in such a way that we're still staying symmetrical, right? See these white ones here that look quite good for going up in this area, and there are 4 of them. However, I can't figure out on the guide where those are, because I don't think they're meant to go on the backpack anywhere. I think they must be meant to go elsewhere. Oh, there they are. They're meant to go on the knees, which are now white, so that's fine. Okay, so I can definitely use these 4, and I think I want to place them up here on the blue of those. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we'll do that. For those wondering, yes, this is often how I build and design things. So whether it's placement of markings like this or color schemes or whatever, I just kind of, I don't plan a lot ahead. I just look at the part, look at the piece as it's, after it's assembled especially, and then just make a decision and go with it. So, yeah, not a lot of pre-planning necessarily, but it works for me. So what we're gonna do, I should probably keep these together just so that I can see the alignment of these as I place them, actually, now that I look at it. Yeah, and I'm not sure if I want to place it like that or like that. Yeah, it's gonna go like that. Okay. So we're gonna have one there and we're gonna have one over here. You know, this part comes off. I could have pulled it off so that it was not attached to this giant structure. That might have made it easier, but This is fine. We've started it this way, so let's continue. I'm gonna have to do this slightly off camera because I don't have enough hands to hold everything. So I'm gonna do it off the edge of the desk here. So that this thing can be sitting on the desk, and then I'm just pulling gently pushing the piece off of the backing onto the plastic. So, apologies for not being able to do that on camera. Now what I want is roughly something like that. And that, see that? So again, I will carefully nudge them into place so that they are, at least to my eye, as symmetrical as possible. And then I'll just roll the water out from underneath as carefully as I can so that it does not slide the marking and change its orientation. Yep, so that looks pretty even. Let me get you a closer up view. Yeah, looking good. And you can see the outlines of the decals just a little bit, but those will disappear as it dries, just a touch. And then top coat on top of them will make them disappear entirely, or at least it usually does. So I'm going to keep that nearby so that I can use it as a reference while we do the opposite side. Should I take this off now that I've discovered that that's a easier way to do it? Nah, we'll keep it the same as what we did. One there and one there. All right, and then we position these again using that one as a reference. So it was just above where that meets there. This one needs to go up just a tiny bit. That's looking good. All right. Stay. All right. Very good. Next, I'm going to stare at this sheet a little bit longer. So this white one up here that says Judge on it is really a really nice piece, and also this one that goes next to it, or that I think mirrors it, that has these hexagon sort of shapes. Well, they're six-sided. They're not, the six sides are not equal, so it's not actually hexagons. Really want to use those somewhere. But they're going to have to be on a dark part for sure, because they're white decals. And I do not see a good place here on the backpack unit for them. They're meant to go like here and here, but those are on, you know, a white background, of course. So I think what I'm going to do with these is actually wait and use them somewhere on the mobile suit itself, I'm not sure that there's probably not gonna be, oh, you know what, I could probably use them on the weapons. If I, not the weapons we just built, but these other weapons, if I end up using those from that add-on kit once it arrives. Yeah, I think that's the plan. So I'll save those for that purpose. And then these two here I would like to use. And I think I would like to use them up at the top here. Let me just look. There's like a little bit of sort of text in addition to the shape, but I think that'll fit right in there perfectly. And it'll mirror kind of the stripe we have down there. So let's do that. So yeah, inventing a marking scheme on the fly. So we're gonna put these, and again, I wish there were 4 so that we could do the opposite side, but really when you're looking at the thing from the back where the majority of the backpack is gonna be visible, just this one side is gonna be fine on both of them. I'm just noticing this part here, when I snapped it together, is not pressed down all the way. I'm not gonna fix it right now, but I'll make a mental note to go back and fix it later. All right, so these are gonna go right in here along this edge. And it's gonna have to be this one for this side, right? Or do I want to do, oh, that would be interesting as well. Yeah, actually, let's go this way. I like that better. Okay. The number 1 marking wants to come with it because it's not completely cut. Interesting. All right, we'll just make a little slice there. And that will fix it. Cool, yeah, so we're gonna put this one in this orientation because it will fit with the kind of the point up here at the end, right? Yeah, that's just about perfect. Nice. Okay. See, that's what I find a lot of times, especially with these types of markings that often come on kits like this. These types being just like sort of stripe patterns. Even if you change the color scheme of the build in such a way that they're not going to fit where they're designed to go, you can almost always find a place where they'll fit anyway, and they'll look like they were designed to go there. If you just kind of look around at your final product and you imagine how things fit, right? So like this looks like it was designed to fit right there. It fits perfectly in that space. It was not. I think these are meant to go, let me look at the guide. Oh, they were meant to go like over here on this part right here, which we painted white. So yeah, that's perfect. And then I'll keep that around so that we can refer to it as I do the opposite side, which is going to go right up here. I moved it just slightly. Let's fix that. There we go. Sometimes when a kit has a lot of angles like this, it's hard to like get this in a place where I can roll the Q-tip and have it be perpendicular to the surface. And then you're in danger if you're not rolling it nicely, carefully, of moving the marking while you do that. So that's not great, but that worked out okay. All right. I really would like something kind of for this edge up here, just to kind of finish that out. However, I'm not sure that I see anything that I'm crazy about. These two here are not bad, and there's actually a slightly smaller version of the same thing right there. So I could probably choose between those depending on which one I think would fit better. It's probably the smaller one. Almost certainly the smaller one. These ones here are quite obviously designed to fit on this wing shape there. And so I don't think I'm going to be able to use them anywhere else. Yeah, probably not. That's fine. I could always cut them as well. That's another thing with these types of line markings, is you can always cut them if you don't want to use the whole thing in, you know, whatever new location that you're designing or that you're inventing for them to go. It looks to me, I guess those are separate. I can't, there's a little sort of extra piece right there that I thought was maybe attached to this decal, but it's not. It's definitely separate. So yeah, that would be an option, would be to use those in that area there. I'm happy with that approach. I'm just looking at everything else on the sheet to make sure that I don't see a better idea first. And I don't. So that's what we're gonna go with. Ironhide. Interesting. Interesting fact. I didn't know that. Interesting. Hey, thanks for following. Hope you're enjoying the build. It's pretty chill so far today. Not a lot going on in the build or in the chat, but that's fine. Sometimes it's good to have a quiet build day and concentrate on the details, right? So yeah, this one is definitely, we're gonna place this one right on this outer edge here to kind of just finish out the white outlining that's going around this blue part. So the idea is for it to go here, and I've got two of them, they're mirrors of each other, so I've got to decide which orientation I want to do, like whether I want that to go that way or this one to go this way. And I think the answer is I want it that way. Yeah. Yikes. Do not move the parts around too much and chip the paint. That would be a bad day. Alright. So yeah, we're gonna place this one right up in here. And this time the angle doesn't perfectly work. Like this comes down and then this angle right here, let me zoom in so you can see. So like if I make this follow this edge, it's fine, but then this little angle here doesn't quite match the angle of that. So that's a case where like this decal wasn't designed to go here, and so it looks a little bit wrong, but I'm happy enough with it as it is. There's just slightly too much liquid underneath here, and it's causing it to be hard for me to position this thing without it wanting to shift back. So I sucked up a little bit of it with that Q-tip, and then that gives us the precision that we need to then go and finish the placement of it. Very good. Yeah, so that to me still looks okay. It looks like it's meant to sort of be there, even if it's not perfect. So let's do the same thing with the opposite side. I finally figured out the best place to grab these things to pick them up without touching anything that I think is going to break or fall off or cause a problem, so that's good news. And we want this down here. Again, just a little too much liquid. And I had placed this so that this angle down here is just over this little ridge that you probably can't see on video, but I can see in person. So that's helping me to line it up. It's still wanting to move just a little too much when I nudge it, but I think that is close. Yeah, that seems good. It seems also like it's just not perfectly straight, parallel with the edge, so I need to nudge this edge just in a little. Yeah, that looks right. Excellent. All right, what else? So now, instead of looking at the decal sheet, I'm gonna just stare at the parts themselves, the assemblies themselves for a bit. So I think we've given up on doing the opposite side here because they just didn't provide enough markings for that, and also that's gonna be the side that's less visible anyway. But I don't want any more on these blue areas here. I don't think I want any more up here on these blue claw areas either. So unless I have some extras of the darker bluish markings, which I don't think I do, I think I'm going to use them all on the mobile suit itself. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to not place any of these on the white bits here yet today. And what I'll do is after I finish building the mobile suit, I will then place these on the mobile suit as called for and as makes sense. And if there are some left over, like I'm eyeing this 45 and 46, these long skinny ones here, I already imagine a spot where those would be really good. So if I end up not using them, oh, I see they go on the front skirts of the mobile suit, and so I probably will use them. That's the back skirt, isn't it? That is the back skirt. Maybe I'm less likely to use them on the back skirt. Anyway, I might save some of these as I'm placing decals on the mobile suit later on, and then put them back here on the backpack unit later. But for now, I'm okay with that. Now the problem is this middle section didn't get anything. No markings at all yet. And I think we're just gonna have to live with that for now. Because all of the ones that were designed to go here are white, and so obviously those won't work. And yeah, the purple ones, the purplish blue ones here that are left, I don't see any that I'm happy with deciding for sure to use right now on this, because I see where they go on the mobile suit, especially on the shoulders and the waist, and I want to use them there. So there might be a few that we end up using potentially on here, but for now I don't think we can do that. And it does not have enough blue in any useful spots for me to want to put markings. Like I don't want to put markings on these little striped areas on the kind of the trim areas of it. It just seems like, why would you put a marking there? And it will kind of detract from the look, I think. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it as is, just like this for now. And yeah, I think that'll be it. I'm gonna go back in, as we talked about earlier, and paint a couple more coats of this fluorescent green onto these spots. Also, these other grayish spots, I've been putting some dark gray enamel in there as well, and you can tell they're not, I don't know if you can tell on camera or not, but they're not perfectly finished and smooth just yet. So they need probably one more coat of that, and then that'll take care of that issue. So I'll do that off camera before our next stream. For now, for today, I think we're gonna be done. I realize it's a shorter stream than usual. It's a holiday here, so my family is off work and school, and we have some plans for later in the day, so I planned to have a slightly shorter stream so that we would have time to do that stuff. So yeah, with that, I think we'll end for now. That at least maybe gives you an insight into my process for doing water slide decals and deciding where to place markings. Again, I don't really plan ahead too much. I just kind of figure it out as we go along. So yeah, that's where we are for now. I'm going to try real hard between now and next stream, which will be on Wednesday, to prep some of the parts for the mobile suit itself. I don't know if I will definitely be able to get them painted, but I'll at least get them ready for paint so that we have something to work on with regards to the main mobile suit itself next time. Yeah, and with that, thanks for watching. I will catch you on the next one. A little bit of slow progress today, especially compared to Friday where we put this whole backpack together. But yeah, I'm happy with how it's looking so far. I can't wait to see the whole thing assembled, but we still have a bit of work to do before we get to that. So have a good one. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.